I drove 40 miles in shitty traffic to see this movie. So let's review this bitch. Hello, Freedom Guy 55 here again. I had just seen Attack of the Block, or Attack the Block. And I have to say, it's actually pretty good. Anyway, if you don't know what Attack the Block is, it's a London gang winds up actually witnessing an alien invasion, and they wind up wanting to protect their blocks against these particular aliens, and they wind up just going to town on them. That's pretty much it. The movie stars a cast of usually unknowns, except for one that's a top billing, which is Nick Frost. But you don't really from, Shaun of the Dead and such, and you don't see him much in the movie. He just kind of pops up in and out whenever. But the thing is that this movie, what I really, really loved about this movie, and what I was really so impressed with in this movie, was the fact that this movie was done on a small budget. It's in a limited release here, and it wound up actually doing something that I love what movies do, especially within films that do have a small budget, which is they go for broke. They wind up taking every ounce that they can out of this film and making a piece of entertaining cinema. And that's what I really loved about this film. And really, I have to really give thumbs up to Joe Cornish for this. It's just amazing. Amazing, amazing job for him. And I have to go out and say it. The cast does an actual solid job in acting. I mean, the cast in this movie is a very good ensemble cast. No one really steps over each other in this movie, so no one seems to have a bigger presence than others. Moses maybe, but basically, I don't think that it does it nearly as much as I wanted it to. I think that they could have actually gone more into his background and learned a little bit more about who this guy was, and maybe we would have a tendency to care even more for him, because it would have been a lot better for me to accept it and such like that. I did love the actual quotable lines in this film, as well as also the just comedy is just amazing. I was just laughing several times. So and then the kind of pace of this film was just really fast, really quick, and it kind of built up your energy, and it worked very well. It is amazing. I am really so impressed by this film. I mean, this film reminds me of what John Carpenter used to do when he was actually doing films long ago, with Halloween and I remember he did like a small budgeted film for Hollywood, which is Escape from L.A., which is a sequel to Escape from New York, and he did a really good job with that too, with as limited budget as he wants. And John Carpenter used to do that all the time. He'd take the budget that he had and he'd just go for broke. He wound up actually filling as much as he could into it to give you a piece of entertainment, and I like that. And this film does the same thing. And an interesting kind of thing is that in this film, there's a part where there's like this slow motion that happens near the end that actually has a soundtrack in the background that sounds like a kind of John Carpenter film. And I don't know whether or not they did that, if that was actually an homage to it. I couldn't be certain. But it may have not been. It may have been more of an homage to 80s, because this soundtrack was actually very good. It wound up working off of like 80s techno combined with, I think, British hip-hop. So it was actually interesting, and I did like it. So, I mean, it's got an awesome soundtrack, and it's got great dialogue. I mean, the dialogue that passes through it didn't actually feel forced at all. It felt like it actually fit those scenes. It was good. So, I mean, there was a lot of good stuff in this movie, and if you really do like film, you'll like this movie. It works very well. There is one particular kind of problem about it, and a lot of critics state this all the time, and I think I have to agree with them, that there is this kind of justification of the violent behavior of the gang that I just really didn't like. And I think the reason why, I can't speak for other critics, but I think the reason why is because the gang member... that we've seen gang members, when we've seen gangsters, and we've seen assassins in movies all the time, and we always seem to have a tendency to either glorify their violent behavior, or we wind up having a tendency to justify their violent behavior. And I think that that's what's really kind of problematic with this, is because it just doesn't provide anything new. It winds up doing this kind of same thing that we've seen in other films before. So it really doesn't work, and it's kind of hard to relate to these characters since we don't really know a lot about Moses. They keep him a little bit too ambiguous, and I think that if they concentrated more upon, you know, his past and his development as a character, I think that it would have worked much better as a film, and I wouldn't have mind the you know, the violent behavior of the gang. But as far as anything else, everything else was good. Everything else. So what do I give it? Well, I'm going to have to give this movie 4.5 stars. I loved this film. I will buy it on Blu-ray, definitely. So I give it a thumbs up if it's around. If you're around Attack the Block, if it's a, you know, if you're around it, or if the theater that you're around has it playing, go see it. Just go see it. It is a good movie. It is worth your time if you really like these kind of independent, low budget type of films that actually really do bring a sense of entertainment. But I think that this film brings us a good sense of entertainment that I think people will like it very well. And I think it's going to be, in some ways, a really good cult hit. And good. So it's fine by me if it is. Well, I guess that's it. And I thank you for your time, and have a nice day.